together today in Las Vegas to prove that football is not just for the fellas. The Women's Football League Association held a combine today at the Las Vegas Sports Park. Dozens of female footballers showed up to show off their skill.
To own a pro women's football team that's actually paying for the women. That's amazing. How did that come about?
Well, it came about, well, first of all, I want to shout out to the amazing women that own the WFLA, so women's own league.
And before today's combine, the city of Las Vegas recognized the hard work that went into starting this league by declaring today WFLA Day.
Recognition is great, but for women to be here and empower each other and to set the tone for what comes next, the generation beneath them or behind them, I think that's what we're doing this for.
Okay, so you're thinking about this whole WFLA investment thing, and I gotta say, owning a sports team.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of cool, right? But before we get lost in the fantasy of touchdowns and cheering fans and all that,
Right.
let's take a deep dive. I want to really understand, what is the Women's Football League Association?
Yeah.
What are they all about? Is this actually a real business opportunity?
Right.
Or is this just like a flash in the pan, a sports trend that's going to fade away?
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting here is that the WFLA is stepping into a market that is already valued at, get this, $2.65 trillion.
Whoa.
That's the entire global sports and entertainment industry.
Huge.
But what I think is even more eye-catching is that they're laser-focused on a specific segment within that massive market. And that's women's sports.
Interesting.
They're not just trying to be another football league.
Yeah.
They're really aiming to redefine the whole landscape of professional sports.
Yeah. Okay, so they're not messing around.
No.
They're using some pretty strong language in the stuff that we've been reading.
Yeah.
They're talking about revolutionizing professional sports, empowerment.
Big words.
Big ideas.
For sure.
So how do they actually plan to back that up?
Well, one of the key things that they're highlighting is this emphasis on digital engagement.
Okay.
They're not relying on just traditional broadcasting.
Got it.
They're going all in on social media, streaming services, creating unique content online to connect with fans all over the world.
So they're really trying to tap into a global audience.
Absolutely. They're recognizing that there's this huge audience that's hungry for women's sports.
And that audience is online.
Exactly. An audience that's increasingly consuming content online.
Makes sense in today's digital world.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're leveraging technology to reach a wider audience, but what about the money side of things?
Yeah.
We're talking about an investment opportunity here. And yes, $2.65 trillion is a massive market.
Huge.
But how much of that can the WFLA realistically capture?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And this is where we have to be careful about separating the overall market size from the WFLA's specific target.
Okay.
Because while the global sports and entertainment market is enormous, women's sports currently represents a smaller portion of that.
Makes sense.
However, projections indicate that there's significant growth potential for women's sports in the coming years.
Interesting.
And the WFLA is very deliberately positioning themselves to capitalize on that growth by appealing to a demographic that's often overlooked.
Okay, who are they talking
They're
about?
talking about young, digitally savvy fans.
Got it.
Who are passionate about women's sports.
Okay, so it's about identifying a specific niche and really owning that niche.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about the actual reality of owning a WFLA franchise?
Okay.
What are the costs involved? What are the potential revenue streams?
Right.
Because global reach sounds great on paper.
Sure.
But how does that translate into actual returns?
Yeah, for investors.
For investors.
Yeah, well, so from what we've gathered,
the
information highlights a few key areas of potential revenue.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so first you have your ticket sales and your game day revenue.
Pretty standard.
Which is pretty typical for any sports team.
Right.
But the WFLA is also banking on merchandise sales,
Okay.
brand partnerships, and media rights.
Makes sense.
Remember, they're building a global brand,
Yeah.
which could open doors to international sponsorships
Interesting.
and licensing deals.
Yeah, and with this whole digital-first approach,
Right.
they can potentially reach fans and consumers directly.
Absolutely.
So they're cutting out some of the middlemen.
Exactly. And that direct connection with fans can be incredibly valuable for driving those merchandise sales
Makes sense.
and building brand loyalty.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. I like it.
And let's not forget about the potential impact on a local level.
Right. They talk about invigorating a city,
Yeah.
creating jobs,
Yeah.
driving tourism.
Absolutely.
But let's be real.
Okay.
For an investor, those are kind of secondary benefits.
Sure.
I'm intrigued by this idea of legacy creation,
Okay.
but I need to understand, what does that actually mean?
Yeah. That's where we have to look beyond just the immediate financials
Okay.
and consider the long-term impact.
Got it.
Imagine like having a stadium named after you
Okay.
or funding scholarships for young female athletes in your city.
So they're positioning this as an opportunity to leave a lasting impact.
Exactly. Not just about generating profits.
Okay. But it's clear this isn't for everyone.
Right.
They're talking about targeting ultra high net worth individuals.
Yeah.
So we're talking serious financial commitment here.
Absolutely. The scale of what they're aiming for requires substantial funding.
Yeah.
But it's not just about having a big bank account.
I'm getting that sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're looking for more than just investors
Right. They're looking for partners.
who align with their vision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're looking for people who share their passion for women's sports.
Okay.
People who believe in this mission to revolutionize professional sports.
Mm-hmm.
People who are ready to make a long-term commitment.
So does this sound like you?
Yeah. Do you think you fit that bill?
That's a great question. And that's what we're going to be exploring in this deep dive.
Absolutely. We're going to unpack what it really means
Exactly.
to be a WFLA franchise owner.
Stay tuned because things are about to get really interesting.
Really interesting.
We've talked about their big ambitions,
Mhm.
their target market,
Yeah.
the potential for financial returns.
Right.
But I'm also getting this feeling that there's a strong emphasis on social impact.
Yeah. You're picking up on something really important.
Okay, good.
The WFLA is not shying away from the social implications of their league.
Interesting.
They're actively promoting the idea that this is about more than just profit. It's about driving positive change in your community.
Okay. And they've mentioned community revitalization, job creation,
Right.
inspiring young athletes.
Yeah.
Those are lofty goals.
They are.
How do they actually put those into action?
Yeah. So think about it this way. Imagine partnering with local businesses
Okay.
to create job training programs,
Mm-hmm.
specifically for women in sports-related fields,
Interesting.
or establishing scholarship funds
Right.
for girls in underserved communities who dream of playing football.
Right. So using the team as a vehicle
Exactly.
for social good.
Yeah, these are just a few examples of how a WFLA franchise owner can really become a catalyst for social change,
Okay.
all while building a successful business.
I'm starting to see how all the pieces fit together.
Yeah.
It's not just about putting a team on the field.
Right.
It's about creating this whole ecosystem where the team's success is tied to the community's well-being.
Yeah, exactly.
But we can't forget we're talking about a brand new league.
Right.
There's inherent risk involved.
Absolutely.
Even with the best of intentions
Yeah.
and the most passionate owners.
Launching a new professional sports league is no easy feat.
So it's not all sunshine and roses.
No, it's not.
What are some of the specific challenges?
Well, one potential hurdle is securing a suitable stadium
Okay.
and practice facilities.
Right.
A lot of cities already have existing infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
tied to other sports teams.
Makes sense.
So negotiating favorable terms for a brand new team
Right.
could be tricky.
Okay.
And then you have the marketing and branding side.
Yeah.
You got to cut through the noise in a crowded sports market.
For sure.
That requires a really savvy strategy
Mm-hmm.
and a significant investment.
Okay, what about the players themselves?
Ah.
Attracting and retaining top talent is crucial for any successful team.
Absolutely.
But the WFLA is competing with these established leagues
Right.
that have deeper pockets and a longer history.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
The WFLA is going to have to offer competitive salaries and benefits.
To attract top players.
Yes. Yeah. And they also need to create a league culture that prioritizes player well-being and career development.
Right. It's not just about the money.
Exactly.
It's about the whole package.
They're essentially building an entirely new ecosystem,
Yeah.
which requires careful planning and a long-term vision.
This is where the legacy creation aspect comes in.
Yes.
It's not about putting a team on the field for a season or two.
Right.
It's about building something that can last for decades.
Exactly.
And that takes a certain kind of investor.
Yeah, someone who's in it for the long haul.
Not a quick flip.
The ideal WFLA franchise owner is not someone who's looking for a quick return.
Okay.
They understand that building a successful sports franchise takes time.
Patience.
Patience, resilience.
And commitment.
A deep commitment to the league's mission.
They're pioneers.
Yeah.
Paving the way for a new era in sports.
In a sense, yeah.
Okay, but let's get down to brass tacks.
Okay.
What are the day-to-day responsibilities of owning one of these teams?
Right? It's not all about shaking hands and cheering from the owner's box, is it?
I would hope not.
There's a lot more to it.
Okay, so break it down for me.
The source material hints at the level of involvement expected from owners. And it's substantial.
Give me the details.
You're essentially running a multi-million-dollar business.
So, managing finances, overseeing marketing campaigns,
Yep.
negotiating contracts, making key decisions about personnel and strategy.
All of that, you'll need to assemble a skilled management team,
Okay.
cultivate relationships with sponsors and media partners.
So you're really in the weeds.
You are, and you're constantly monitoring the league's competitive landscape.
Got it.
And of course, there's engaging with the community, building a strong fan base, ensuring the long-term sustainability of the franchise.
Sounds like a demanding but rewarding role.
It does.
Okay, let's talk money again.
Okay.
We know this is a high-stakes investment,
Yes.
but what about the potential returns?
So unfortunately, the source material doesn't provide specific financial projections,
Okay.
but we can make some educated guesses.
Based on what we know about the sports market.
Exactly. Successful sports franchises can generate substantial revenue
Okay.
through ticket sales, merchandise, media rights, brand partnerships.
Right. All the usual suspects.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that profitability is never guaranteed,
Especially in a startup league.
especially in a startup league like the WFLA.
So it's a calculated risk.
It is.
Potential for high rewards, but also the possibility of significant losses.
That's the nature of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah.
And that's why the WFLA is really emphasizing the importance of shared values and a long-term vision.
Okay.
They're looking for partners who are as passionate about their mission as they are.
So you got to believe in it.
You do partners who are willing to weather the storms and celebrate the victories together?
It's a compelling proposition,
It is.
but it also raises a lot of questions.
Sure.
How will they ensure fair competition among teams?
Right.
What about revenue sharing and player development?
These are all things potential investors need to consider carefully.
And that's where thorough due diligence is essential.
Absolutely. Before making a decision of this magnitude, you need to dig into the finer points of the WFLA's business model, their governance structure,
Okay.
their plans for long-term growth.
The source material is a good starting point.
It is a good overview, but it's just the starting point.
Right. This is a deep dive.
Exactly.
We're encouraging you to keep digging.
Keep asking questions.
There's a lot more to uncover.
Yeah.
Before we move on, I'm curious to hear your take.
Okay.
Do you see this as a viable investment?
So I'm always hesitant to give financial advice,
Of course.
but I can say that I'm intrigued by their vision and their approach.
Okay.
They seem to understand the complexities of launching a new sports league, and they're putting a strong emphasis on community engagement and social impact.
I'm getting a cautious optimism from you.
Perhaps.
It's not just about the bottom line. It's about aligning with a mission you believe in.
That's a key takeaway for me.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about investing in a WFLA franchise, you need to be genuinely passionate about their mission, their values, their potential to create positive change.
It's not just about owning a team.
It's about becoming a part of something much bigger.
And that's a powerful thought.
It is.
We'll continue this conversation in just a moment,
Okay.
exploring the broader implications of their vision and what it could mean for the future of sports and entertainment. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, from their ambitious plans to the actual day-to-day of owning a team. But there's one phrase from all this material that keeps coming back to me.
Okay.
Transforming the cultural landscape.
Yeah,
That's a bold statement.
it is.
What does that actually mean in the context of women's sports?
Well, I think that phrase really gets to the heart of what makes the WFLA so fascinating.
Okay.
It's not just about building another sports league. It's about shifting those societal perceptions
Of women in sports.
of women in sports. Exactly.
Okay, so challenging the idea that women's sports are somehow less exciting,
Right.
less competitive
Less deserving of attention.
than men's sports.
Absolutely.
It's about breaking down those outdated stereotypes,
Yes.
creating a space where female athletes are celebrated for their skill, their dedication, their athletic achievements.
I think that's a great way to put it.
And that kind of change,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen overnight.
It doesn't.
It takes visionaries, pioneers, people who are willing to challenge the status quo and invest in something bigger than themselves.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to the WFLA's call to action.
The future is yours to lead,
Yeah. It's almost like they're extending an invitation.
to be part of a movement,
Yeah. To shape the future of women's sports.
and influence the broader cultural landscape.
They're saying if you believe in the power of sports to inspire, to empower, to drive positive change, then come join us.
It's a compelling message,
It is.
especially in a world that's increasingly focused on social impact and creating a more inclusive and equitable future.
Yeah, for sure.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
Right.
We've talked about the information, the opportunities, the challenges, but ultimately the decision is yours.
Yeah.
Does this vision resonate with you?
Do you buy in?
Do you see yourself as a potential game changer
A catalyst for change.
in the world of women's sports?
They're asking you to imagine a future
Okay.
where young girls have just as many opportunities to play football as boys,
Wow.
where women's sports are just as popular and celebrated as men's sports.
Equal footing.
Exactly. A future where athletic talent and dedication are recognized and rewarded regardless of gender.
And they're inviting you to be part of building that future.
Yes.
Brick by brick, stadium by stadium, community by community.
I love that.
It's a big responsibility.
It is.
But also an incredible opportunity.
A huge opportunity.
This material doesn't shy away from the challenges, but it also paints a really exciting and inspiring picture of the future.
And that's the key takeaway, I think.
Yeah.
The WFLA is presenting a unique opportunity to combine financial investment with social impact.
Having your cake and eating it too,
Kind of.
not just about changing the game, but about changing the world.
Exactly.
We've laid it all out for you, the information, the insights, the different perspectives.
Now it's up to you.
Do you want to be a spectator or do you want to be a player?
Get in the game.
Step onto the field and be a part of something truly transformative.
That's a decision you have to make for yourself.
Weigh the possibilities and make a decision that aligns with your values and your vision for the future.
I think this deep dive has really been about exploring the potential of the WFLA,
Yeah,
understanding the complexity of this opportunity,
for sure.
and encouraging you to think critically about where you want to invest your time, your energy, your resources.
The WFLA believes that the future of sports is inclusive, equitable, and empowering. And they're inviting you to join them in making that vision a reality.
It's a powerful thought to leave you with.
It really is. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of the WFLA.